morning. We have a small group today. Thank you for coming. If I will call this meeting to order at 7:06. I'm sorry for our tardiness, and I would love to invite you to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our next item is the approval of minutes. We have the approval of minutes from the governing board meeting held on March 24th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Seconded.
Thank you, Mr. King and Mr. Buster. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. We will move on to our next section, which is general functions. I also just want to pause for a second and just welcome Miss Katie Dabney with us tonight. Mr. John Fruth is at a conference, and so she is joining us tonight in his absence. So thank you. Under general functions, our first item is staff, student, and community recognitions. Staffing.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. We don't have any special announcements this evening, but we do have one recognition, and that would be Mrs. Bates. So I'll have Mrs. Bates come on up and share some of the great stuff that's happening in her departments and in her sites.
Thank you, President Pratt, Mrs. Dabney, and members of the board. Tonight, I'd like to recognize Marcia Zadaran for going above and beyond to become a LETRS certified trainer. Her dedication to strengthening early literacy and aligning to our Science of Reading initiatives is truly appreciated. We now have 36 trained staff within our early childhood education team who are LETRS certified and have that training under their belt. We're grateful that Marcia has stepped up and provided this commitment and positive impact that she's making on not only our educators, but the influence that she's having on that early intervention for our earliest learners. Next, I want to recognize our incredible district special education team. I want to just express my appreciation. They went above and beyond to coordinate and organize a spring resource fair. The range and quality of support available was absolutely incredible and just truly reflected the relationships that they have across our entire community. This just shows their dedication to not only supporting the education of our students who are affected by special needs, but also just their families and what they can do to support the whole child. It's a really busy time of year, and to pull off something like that at that volume with that level of support, care, and dedication just really showed the intention that they bring to their positions every single day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bates. That's all we have for staff, students, and community recognitions tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Dabney. Our next item is calls to the public. I do have one request to speak. So as Mr. Tate is coming up, I will read the required reading. At this time, the board may consider and discuss comments and concerns from the public. Those wishing to address the governing board on items not on tonight's agenda may do so at this time. Speakers are requested to hold their comments to 3 minutes. In accordance with Arizona Open Meeting Law, board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of the speakers regarding issues not on tonight's agenda. You probably could have said that. Repeated it back to me, right? Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, President Pratt, Assistant Superintendent Dabney, and governing board members. Good thing I had a pencil so I could change that. I want to take a moment just to recognize a few of the many events that happen outside regular school hours where staff give up their time to support the students in the Bell School District. On April 2nd, I had the pleasure of being a judge at Bell Academy and High School for their senior exit project. And I just came from Andrade. In fact, I had left the room before the last student had a chance to talk. But I was at Andrade night and Bell Academy just for the senior exit projects. And just, I try to go to all the school SEPs every year because it's just so refreshing to hear the kids. See them come in incredibly scared, and many of them leave just saying, I rocked it, and others just trying to breathe again as they leave the room. But a great opportunity and a big supporter of SEP. I just wish more parents and the kids who are freshmen and sophomores would be judges so that they could actually support the kid instead of scaring them to death. On March 26th, I had the pleasure of attending the Mesquite Elementary performance of Descendants, the musical at the Fox Theater. And teacher and director Rochelle Port did an excellent job, as she always does, doing that. She also had an excellent group of adults and students supporting her and the performers. As they do every year, the students also did a great job. Number of lines and songs they had to memorize seemed like even larger than normal this year. And a special thanks to the personnel at the Fox Theaters. They always support Miss Port and the performers. Truly an evening that the children will remember for the rest of their lives. 50, 60 years from now, they'll still remember the night they were at the Fox Theater. And then the following night, I went to Cienega drama performance of Curtains, a whodunit comedy musical led by director Jessica Armistead and music director Emma Michelle with her mom, Anka Michelle, as accompanist and Stephanie Johnson as the choreographer. Students did a great job, as always, of being the character rather than reading the lines of the character, which I always find very impressed with the Cienega productions. I'm just sure board member Jen Anderson was very proud of her daughter Jocelyn, as she did the performance of Georgia Hendricks. The Mesquite and Cienega performances show the importance of the fine arts programs in the Ville School District. And I look forward to seeing many more shows from both of these excellent directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. Our next item is acknowledgement of public request to speak. I do not believe there's anybody here wishing to speak to the board on items on tonight's agenda. So we will move on to correspondence and reports. The first item is the superintendent's report. Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. As previously stated, Mr. Caruth, Mr. Hurley, Mr. Breen, and several members of our teaching and learning team are actually at an educational conference put on by ASU. So while they're out learning new and exciting things, I'm very happy to be here tonight filling in for Mr. Caruth. And I do have a quick superintendent's report. As you know, we are well into the fourth quarter, which is an extremely busy time of year. There are a ton of things happening across the district. We are in the middle of ASA state testing right now. We have several fine arts and athletic activities occurring right now, from track meets to theater productions to SEP judging, to music and grade level concerts, to end of the year community events, just a ton of things happening. It's always busy. It's always exciting. If you have a spare evening and you're looking for something to do, there is no shortage of school functions to choose from. So, but that's all I have for this evening's superintendent report.
Thank you, Ms. Dabney. We'll move on to our board reports. Are there any board members wishing to make a report this evening? Mr. King? Sure. Let's start with you.
I'll jump off, take this. So I think Mr. Tate could actually have just given my board report as well, because I saw him down at the Fox Theater with Descendants, and I have to agree, Miss Port just knocked it out of the park yet again. And then talking to her and, you know, some of the kids after the fact, having them get to go down and in the background of the old Fox Theater and getting to go see some of the legends of, you know, whether it's music or art or whatnot, who've actually performed there, and actually get to sign the wall down there with them. So they're actually part of the Fox now forever. It was actually kind of a cool thing to do. And then also got to go over and see Miss Anderson's daughter just crush it in the play at Cienega. So, and then I told my, this is kind of a special announcement. Yesterday, I had a visit with one of my Check and Connect kids over at Rincon Vista. And earlier this year, I was wondering if I was making a difference. You know, because you always do. You always wonder if you're making a difference. And we were looking through the grades and everything else. And I was like, I noticed something, you know, and I've worked with this young kid for a year and a half. And for the first time in a year and a half, he's not failing any classes. So, you know, and it's been hard because there was attendance issues and everything else. And I kind of gave him the bad cop thing at first. I said, so what's going on with your grades? Right. And kind of looked at him and he's like, I don't know. You know, he didn't know. I said, you know, for the first time in a year and a half, you're not failing any classes. And he was like, what? He was so surprised and shocked and everything else. I said, you know what you're doing, you know, because we've been working on advocacy, self-advocacy and everything else. He's advocating for himself. He's actually checking the grades. He's staying on top of a lot of things. So getting to know that those little things that you do make a difference. And they brought their grades up, the 2 kids that I work with over there. So at the end of the quarter, we had a pizza party at lunch, and we got to use the little staff like meeting room and everything else up the front. And so that was a really, really big deal for them, and getting to see how much that little connection was there. And now it's a big thing. So this Check Connect program, I was on a podcast recently, and somebody heard about it, and they're actually interested in becoming involved because they didn't know about the program. So they're interested in becoming, one of them is actually interested in is looking forward to becoming a reading hero. So some of the things that we do here that sometimes we may take for granted, that, you know, because they're just what we do. It's kind of that veil way. We do things, right? We don't wait for somebody to tell us. We just jump in and do it. So by cheerleading those things, we're finding ways to increase our volunteer pool that we have. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. And thank you for all the ways you make a difference. Any other board reports? Ms. Anderson or Mr. Bus?
So, ladies first.
Yeah.
You have,
Oh, yeah.
go ahead, you're fine.
Mr. Bus, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, ladies first.
I mean, we did site tours at Cottonwood Elementary and Bell Academy and High School. Those are some of my favorite things to do, is to do these site tours and just be able to be with the principals and see their campuses and just see the good that's going on there. You know, and obviously we talk about even hard things that are going on there too. But I think I say this all the time. Every time I go to these campuses, I leave going, I could send my kid here, right? And so just shout out to both of those schools and the work they're doing. And so throes of state testing, I actually love the superintendent report because I'm like, that's how I feel right now, right? Like all of those things, SUP, all these events, and we're gearing up for graduation and all those things come in. So, and then I spent like a week and a half at Cienega, I think, in the last couple of weeks. So just helping and volunteering for their musical. And so thanks for those who attended, and just proud of all the kids and the work they do. It's a lot of work to do those things. And so just shout out to Jessica Armistead, Stephanie Johnson, Anka Michelle, and Emma Michelle, and the work they do with kids. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Buster.
My turn. So roll out the popcorn and a pillow. I joined Ms. Pratt, Ms. Anderson, and Mr. Caruth attending the tours, the site tours of Cottonwood and Vale Academy High School. Both Ms. Villalobos as well as Ms. Vargo are outstanding principals that are very proud of their schools, their teachers, and their students. I joined Ms. Tippett, Mr. King, Mr. Hurley. We were very fortunate to attend the performance of the Descendants at the Fox Theater. Phenomenal opportunity. Ms. Port, she's a force of nature. And her cast, her crew, the parents really left me awestruck to the high level of talent of those gifted youngsters at Mesquite Elementary. And of course, all of the folks that helped in the development, whether it be on stage, off stage, and the parents and the cast and the crew, just absolutely phenomenal. Really excited about what they have awaiting us for next year, because I saw that young lady and she had a big smile on her face and wouldn't tell us what she's planning for next year. So I'm very excited. Ms. Dabney, Ms. Mentone, were the host of our public information team. We all attended the Connections Crew Celebration event to surprise and celebrate Miss, I want to make sure I got her name right, Paula Amico, and she's the Special Services Secretary of Micah Mountain High School. Paula was honored to be lauded for her exceptional support during a Micah Mountain's all-staff meeting. So in front of all of her friends, her colleagues, as well as her husband, I got the opportunity to serenade her. And I strongly believe from the heartfelt, she wouldn't let go of my arm, even in front of her husband. I really believe she felt as special as the people that she supports each and every day. Exceptional thanks to Ms. Jocelyn Anderson for the invitation to Cienega High School's spring performance of Curtains. This was a fun murder mystery, musical and comedy that kept the audiences joyfully in suspense, surprise, and guessing until the final humorous scene. To see the level of amazing talent, craftsmanship, passion, and showmanship provided by this young cast and crew makes me an even more stronger supporter of our fine arts programs, drama, choir, dance, band, and performances in our schools. Hats off to our schools, our programs, and the incredible passionate arts teachers, and directors that bring out the extraordinary gifts in each one of our students and allows those gifts to shine and shine so brightly. With Mr. Hurley, I attended the Vail Ed Tech Conference at Esmond Station K through 8. And as you know, I'm a geek, so I have to say that Mr. Breen, Ms. Boyd, Mr. Brian Turner, and Dr. Aaron Roebuck, and all the incredible ed tech coordinators, specialists, and teacher presenters who delivered expert presentations to a record number of educators throughout Pima County and beyond on Canva AI applications and one-of-a-kind student panel, which was really exceptional. Those students coming together and bringing perspectives on technology in our schools was absolutely incredible. So outstanding job to one and all. With Mr. Hurley, I also attended the Mental Health Awareness Walk at Cienega High School. And despite a little breeze, which wasn't so little, the community came out in force to celebrate our community and ensure this critical issue, one that will continue to allow opportunities to get our people the help that they genuinely need. A huge shout out to Christina, Byron, Miss Stacy Winstrig, and our dynamic team for making the event shine and shine so brightly. I had the opportunity to serve on a judging committee for the ASBA Black Alliance, Georgie and Calvin Good Student Scholarship, vetting through quite a number of 26 finalists. Although the results won't be released until the end of the month, I was highly impressed by the increased number of high-quality submissions by applicants from students at school districts throughout Pima County. So to all applicants, I do wish good luck. Along with President Pratt, Ms. Tippett, Ms. Anderson, I attended the 4th Annual Giving Gala by the Vail School District Foundation. What makes the Giving Gala special is the spirit behind it. The school district's foundation, and their commitment to supporting classrooms, innovation, and student needs shines through in every detail. The gala brings together families, educators, alumni, local leaders, stakeholders, and partners who all believe in the same thing, that every student deserves opportunity, support, and a strong foundation to survive, to thrive. Events like this don't just raise funds, they raise hope. They strengthen relationships and remind us that Vail's success is built by many hands working together. Immeasurable thanks to the Vail Unified School District Foundation Board of Directors, who include Stacy Winstrig, Stephanie Stark, Catherine Byers, Leanna Hicks, Aaron Cavazos, Peggy Benson Runyon, Roosevelt McKnight, Darcy Mentone, Stuart Katz, and Linda Kubiak, along with the total benevolent stakeholders and contributors for making this continue to be a beacon for our entire community. With Ms. Pratt, Ms. Tippett, and Ms. Dabney, I attended the Pima County and Board Superintendent Collaborative. Wonderful to see so many school leaders throughout Pima County and the University of Arizona sharing perspectives on collaborating on what is best for our schools and our students. Lastly, there's so much to be done within our schools, within our communities, within our district. So please reach out to our schools, our clubs, PTAs, PTSAs, and participate in Earth Day events. Giving your time to these events is its own rewards. Wishing all an absolutely amazing administrative teams throughout our district a super appreciative and happy Administrative Professionals Day. Cindy Peterson, Maria Castro, Amy Osman, and every one of you exceptional people. There's no way that we can do the phenomenal work each of our schools, departments, and the district do every day without each of you.
Thank you, Mr. Bester. Appreciate it. Mr. Pitt, do you have, okay, Mr. Pitt?
Yes, that was lovely, Mr. Buster. Wanted to share that Ms. Dabney and I had the opportunity to have a reality check lunch over at Vail Inclusive Preschool and Community Programs, and just had a great time with the staff there. The conversation was excellent. Some really great questions asked, and they got some really great answers. And also we learned a couple of things that we could provide some good, easy answers that would provide some more information to staff. So I thought that was really helpful. And of course, just the kids are super cute there, tiny humans. And also just wanted to say a huge thank you to Mrs. Port and all the parents and staff that came up around and supported her in this passion project of providing young students this opportunity to perform on a professional stage here in our community. The thing that just touched me the most was going up on stage with some of the kiddos afterwards, and the children were crying. They were so happy to have participated in this, and so just wishing it wasn't over yet. And that's the kind of impact that we want kids to have. Like, they won't remember what their testing score was in 5th grade, or what, maybe even what book they read, but they're going to remember that moment for the rest of their lives. And it takes that little extra effort. And so appreciative to all of our staff for continually going above and beyond and providing wonderful opportunities such as that. That's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Tippett. I also attended a reality check lunch at Sonita Valley, and they are one of my favorite things to do. It's just so fun to talk with the staff and just hear about the wonderful things that are happening on each of our sites. I also went to the Vail Foundation Gala this last week and was just so touched that there was 23 scholarships, which is a huge increase from what they were able to provide in years past. I just think it's such a huge impact to these students who are receiving those. So congratulations to them, and a huge thank you to them. I also attended the Pima County Collaborative yesterday. Great discussion, great opportunities to connect with other board members and superintendents around the county. I loved the Curtains musical at Cienega. Such a great time. So congratulations and thank you to all who participated in that and helped put that on. I also went to the mental health walk at Cienega. And I actually I know that they switched how everything was because of the wind, but I actually loved how everything was set up. It was just a wonderful day. So thank you to all who worked so hard to put that on. And then I also went to I've been participating with Mr. King in a bond and override committee at Empire High School. And it is just incredible to see the level of intention and thought from our community members that come and participate in those committees. I know it's a lot of time. I believe that was our third meeting, and just they really are just so intentional and really thinking about things so well. And it's just really helpful as a board member to be able to hear their thoughts. So thank you so much to all who participated in that committee. That might have been the longest board report section of all time. Really good things happening.
Actually, I got a couple, one more thing.
One more thing, yes, Mr. King.
So real quick follow-up, it reminded me, April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. So that's one thing that when we choose connections, we engage with kids. So make sure that we can pay attention to the kids. It's also month of the military child. Being as we're right kind of smack dab in between two major military installations, we do service a lot of military kids out here. And it's one of the reasons we actually chose Vail. So let's see what we can do to work with these kiddos.
Thank you, Mr. King. Anybody else want a second round? Everybody good? Okay. If there's no more, then we will move on to our consent agenda. All items listed below are consent matters and will be considered by one motion at this time. There'll be no discussion of consent items. Any board member may remove an item from the consent agenda by request. All items not accepted and approved as part of the consent agenda will be considered individually. Do any board members wish to pull an item? Ms. Dabney?
Thank you, President Pratt, members of the board. I will go ahead and call for the recommendation. It is a recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve as presented.
Well, I'm going to give it to Mr. Buster. Mr. King seconds.
Sure.
I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. Thank you. Let me get there. Okay, our next section is old business. We have only one item, ASBA policy advisories. This is 864 to 865, and then also 909 to 914. This is an action item. Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. As you know, we are a member of ASBA's Policy Advisory Service. ASBA has spent considerable time working through our policy manuals, essentially cleaning up our board policies to address redundant items by combining or collapsing policies and cleaning up policy language. The board has already approved several of these updated advisories. This is the last batch of policies that have gone through that revision process, and these were studied at the last board meeting. And with that, I will call for the recommendation. It is the recommendation that the Vail School District Governing Board approve ASBA policy advisories 864 through 865 and 909 through 914 as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Dabney. I'll accept a motion.
I'll move.
Ms. Tippett
I'll
and
second.
Ms. Anderson. Comments or questions?
Yay.
How about that?
Been a long
You
process.
got that in the record, Ms.
Close that.
Yay. Any other comments or questions?
Quoted in the record is yay.
I know we talked about this also last time, so if there's no comments or questions, then I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not seeing any, the motion carries. We'll move on to new business. This is, our first item is the 2026-27 incentive pay packet. This is a study item. Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. Every year, the incentive pay packet is brought before the board for consideration. This year, the incentive pay packet was brought before the board in essentially two parts. The first part was the educational enrichment plans, or EEPs, which the board approved. And now tonight, we are bringing the leadership portion of the incentive pay plan before you as a study item. The leadership portion includes things like our instructional coaching, our district-wide committees like our curriculum management team, our TAT committee, our DFAT team. It also includes ITLs, our ITL structure and pay structure, and then home visits as well. To share more information on the leadership pieces of our incentive pay plan, I will turn it over to our hub coordinator, Mrs. Witt. And as Mrs. Witt comes on up, there are some changes that we're recommending. And so we'll spend some time just talking through what some of those bigger changes are. Turn it over to you, Ms. Witt.
Thank you. President Pratt, Assistant Superintendent Dabney, and members of the board, thank you for having me today. I'm so excited. Like Ms. Dabney already said, I'm Nicole Witt. I was a teacher in the district for 12 years. took a little break. My kids were young and I did a little bit of substitute teaching and then jumped right back in about a year and a half ago in this position. So excited to be back and so many fun things I want to share with you today. When Mr. Hurley and I were going through updating the packet for this year, we came to realize that the packet hasn't been updated very thoroughly in a lot of years. And so we thought this was the perfect opportunity to do that. We talked every single program that is in that packet. Myself and Mr. Hurley went to the district approvers, the principals, and the teachers to get feedback on them. We learned a lot of really important pieces of feedback, and we're really excited about the improvements that we're going to present to you. So I just want to give you like 4 bigger updates, and you'll see the rest in a handout from Ms. Peterson. Kind of really breaks down the little details, so a little bit easy to see. So the first thing we want to update is home visit. So we found that some of our families are wanting to find different ways to connect with our teachers. They're not as willing to have teachers in the home as maybe they have been in the past. And so teachers are starting to struggle with completing those 15 visits. In addition to the fact that the way we have had it built till now, is teachers had to complete 8 or 15 home visits to get those milestone payments. So we wanted to make a few adjustments. So first, we're going to rename the program. We would like to call it Community Connections Program instead, because we're going to allow both home visits to occur and different types of connections in the community. So maybe that's attending a performance or meeting at the park to play basketball. We also changed the compensation structure. So instead of having to hit 8 or 15 to get paid, we're just going to pay per visit. Okay. This honors families' preferences. We can have more connections with them in a way that best meets their needs, but allows us to have more opportunities with our families, and we are better able to compensate teachers. Some of them are struggling right now. I'm getting quite a few emails. I could only get 12. I can't get to my 15 because I just can't, no more parents want to at this point. So we really want to compensate teachers for all of those visits. The second one is I took all 400 EEPs that were submitted last year, as you guys know. And I went through and tried really hard to sort them by groups to say, okay, what are things that are happening district-wide that we could turn into incentive pay items instead of EEPs, eliminating all of the work of creating an EEP as well as rating and reading them. And so the 3 that we chose to implement for this year were Yearbook, Web, which is where everybody belongs. It's a middle school program, and Link Crew, which is a high school program. There's definitely some more we can add, but we're trying to do it in small chunks. And so I'm really excited that we were able to really analyze those programs, come up with a fair pay rate, and move it to the packet. And so those teachers no longer have to create EEPs for those programs. The next one is up until this year, a new teacher to our district could have up to 4 coaches helping them integrate into the Vail community. And so while that was really awesome in some ways, it also could be really overwhelming because you figure each one of these coaches was not only doing 2 to 3 observations, there was also pre-conferences, post-conferences, in addition to your principal's formal observations. And so we found that inadvertently we were overwhelming some of our teachers. And so we took those 4 coaching roles, we condensed it into 1 role. We're calling it the instructional support coach. That way we have 1 coach who can provide consistent messaging to our teachers and support them as they need. And so it is our hope that we're still supporting teachers, but in a little bit of an easier and a lighter way. The last one I want to tell you about is I went through every single job description in that packet, and I met with the district staff member who oversees it. I talked to principals, I talked to teachers, and really found out, what are you actually doing in this position? And I updated the description to really be clear about what's actually happening. We also, Ethan and I worked really hard too on making sure the pay was appropriate to what was actually happening, because we found quite a few instances where when the program was originally designed, it was maybe meeting once a month. But in the example that I think is one of the big ones is Student Solutions Team. I heard principals across the board saying they are meeting a lot more than they used to when we began this program. And so we had a lot of good conversations, and we actually implemented a tiered pay system now. So we found our elementary schools are doing a lot more of these meetings than our high schools. And so it allows for sites, us to meet them where they're at with the pay instead of kind of a flat rate for everybody that wasn't really encompassing all that work. But to be fair, high school might be doing a ton of them too, and they're eligible for all the tiers as well. So we're kind of excited to adjust that. That was a really big one, a lot of feedback about that. Okay, so you know about all the new rules, the EEP rules that's in this packet as well. I wanted to share some numbers with you since I kind of have them almost in at this point. So last year there were 409 EEPs submitted. You all rated between 70 and 90 of them. And then this year we got in 295. And there are 10 that are the pre-rated, that grow in the right flight that we don't have to rate. So we had a reduction of about 100 EEPs, but Ethan and I are super excited and eager to say, though, we don't think it's because 100 things are being cut. We've just changed how we're paying them, moving them to the packet or site-based funding so that we can get teachers paid a little bit more easily, less paperwork, less writing EEPs, and also less work on our raters, try to balance that out a little bit. So I'm looking at about 50 to 70 EEPs. That is, I've been working on it tonight. I'll be working on it tomorrow morning. I'm waiting on a couple more to come in and it's go time. So I'll email you guys soon. So I also wanted to give a shout out. This year, about 2 months ago, we put together a committee of teachers, one at each site. We called them our EEP site advisors, and they became point people at their sites for all the teachers to come to for help. I am just so incredibly thankful for that team of people. Shannon Jelly came in and actually assisted me in running a training, and we even had these teachers practice rating. So she made a fun school for them. They went in and they pretended like they were, I actually told them to pretend they were board members and they were coming in and reading these EEPs. And so we gave them a variety of examples and said, hey, how do you feel about these answers and how would you improve them? We did talk about conciseness. We made sure that we talked about, you can say your goal in 1 to 2 sentences, right? It's okay to do that. You don't get less checkboxes in your points. So it was really good conversations, and they have been working so hard the last 2 weeks on these. I'm just so thankful. So I'm really proud of the work that we did this year. I mean, we truly worked through the EP rules. We've had committees, we've had principals, teachers, district staff members. I mean, it took everybody coming together, but I'm really, really proud of this packet and what we're presenting to you for next year.
Thank you, Nicole. So since this is a study item, happy to answer any questions. Also just want to point out that the red line version of the changes in the incentive packet were emailed in addition to the board background.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Downing. Mr. King.
Yeah, early on, when you were setting this up, you had a whole bunch of acronyms. We have people watching at home. Could you explain all of those acronyms so people can understand what you're talking about?
Yes, thank you, President Pratt, Mr. King, members of the board. Yeah, we have a lot of acronyms in education, right? And Bell's no exception to that. So we have some different groups that are district-wide committees. So CMT stands for Curriculum Management Team. Whatever our curriculum teaching and learning focus is, often our CMT group kind of leads that work. We have our DFAT team, so it's District Formative Assessment Team. That's the team that is consistently every year updating our formative assessments and making sure those are in line with what our state standards are and where the rigor needs to be. Hub is just the nickname for our portal that houses all of our incentive pay information. So our EEPs, when there is anything within the incentive pay, that's in our hub system. ITL stands for Instructional Team Leader. All of our sites have groups of team leaders, whether it's a grade level or a content area. So those are some of the acronyms.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Anderson?
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, I
Miss-
do have a
Miss-
question. And I know it's really hard to put like your finger on it, but with changes and revamps to the EEP packet, that'll have a budget impact. Do you feel like this is something that'll kind of like balance itself out with the way that we made adjustments, or is it something that may like increase some of the opportunities and therefore increase the budget?
Any question, Ms. Downing?
Yeah, thank you, President Pratt, Mrs. Tippett, members of the board. Do think there's gonna be a balancing effect. This year is we're gonna see that in action because we have less EEPs. And we moved some of those activities into the incentive pay packet, or we're recommending that movement. Things like the link crew, or web, yearbook. Those are activities that were previously paid through an EEP process. So having them in the incentive pay packet now is just kind of switching where those programs are funded. So we expect to see a balancing act as we continue to have those EEPs submitted and get that information. I think we'll have a better idea of that. We'll be able to start really kind of plugging those numbers in. But that's our expectation.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions, concerns, Mr. Buster?
I had the opportunity to work with you last year on the EEPs, and I love the fact that you've taken it to the next level, taken it off the shelf, dusted it off, had those meetings and said, hey, what can we do better? And I think that's the Vail way. You know, this was good. Let's see if we can take it, refine it, fine tune it, and make it better, make it great. And I'm really excited to see take it to the next level. And I guess I'm really excited not only for EEPs, what it does for our community, what it does for our children, but also what it does for educators as well. Inspires innovation and creativity, and it puts money in their pocket for what they bring to the table, which is awesome. But having the opportunity to have you do what you've done and see what these major changes have done, I'm excited to work with you this year as well.
Thank you, Mr. Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Buster. Any other comments or questions, concerns, thoughts, accolades? Thank you so much, Swit. I just can't even tell you how much I love all the changes that you've made. So I think it'll be such an improvement both on the side of raters, for the side of teachers writing EPs, and also for all the incentives, just different roles that everybody has. I think it's great. You know, as we're growing, we need to keep just reviewing everything that we're doing just to say, okay, does this still make sense? I also love the EEP site advisors. I love, it's just going to help everyone be successful. So anyway, thank you so much for doing all of this. We appreciate you. Yes, thank you. Our next item, we'll move on to our fine arts update, and inform item, Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. It was about this time 3 years ago that the board approved Mr. Matsushino's position as fine arts coordinator. And it's hard to believe that it's been 3 years, but it absolutely has. And since that time, and with the board's support, there's been significant investments in our fine arts programs across the district. And so Mr. Matsushino is here tonight to share some of the exciting things happening in Vail Fine Arts. And with that, I'll turn it over to you.
I feel like we need to institute walk-up songs, right? Like we need a walk-up song. Yeah.
I got it.
Thank you very much. Good evening, President Pratt, members of the board, Assistant Superintendent Dabney. I wanted to give you an update and an outlook on fine arts and just tell you what the things we've been accomplishing these 3 years, and that we're just so appreciative of all your support. And just hearing everything that's said so far tonight is just really makes us feel that we're so valued every single day. And that's reflective from what you're saying, but then also what the teachers are doing in the classroom. So thank you for that. What we've been really focusing on is how to advance the classroom to affect the kids. When I got here 3 years ago in this position, we had some elementary schools that were giving art teachers $200 a year, which we know isn't enough, right? So kids were having, here's your box of crayons that we're going to share. Here's your piece of paper. Here's what we're going to work on. And the teachers were fantastic. Every lesson was valuable, but it was also things they could do at home. And so what we've done is that we've elevated all the materials in their rooms. We've allowed new experiences that they're able to have every single day. So thank you for that. We've also been able to add in some professional developments, some curriculum ideas as well. So we're looking so much better now. And 3 years is a long time, but in the broad scheme of things, it's been really fast. So some of the curriculum support we've been putting, we add this art of education which is kind of like Beyond Textbooks, which we've used for years and years and years, but it's art specific. So we have K through 12 lessons that are based off the national standards. They have all these different videos, has everything there for these teachers, especially the new ones. The ones who've been teaching for 10, 15 years, they know exactly what they're doing. But the new ones, it's like, I don't know. You know, what can we do when we only have like this amount of time or something like that? What's a new project we can do that fits the standard that we're looking at. So this was just another way that we can offer that supports. And then the same thing with the K5 music. We went to this Music Play Online, which is an online curriculum as well, just to give some more ideas, just to provide that support to the teachers. With that, what we're starting to see is that, especially at the K5 level, where we've been really focusing to build that foundation, is that there's a lot more unity from site to site. Before, it was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it was just, there was good teaching happening, but there was no cohesion across the district. But now we're starting to see a lot more shared ideas. And so when we have kids that are transferring from one school to another, they're not being left behind, right? They all have the same exact idea of what's supposed to be happening. So when they continue to progress, it's just right in line with what we expect. Some of the advances that we've had within arts is that the first thing that we talked about, which is providing equipment. Every single site has a kiln, a working kiln. Before, we had kilns on every single site that were filled with cobwebs. Some of them were on their side. Teachers, and I don't blame them, were afraid to even try and turn them on. So we either fixed them or we replaced them. So now what we're seeing is that kids are experiencing 3D art at every site, which is just absolutely phenomenal. They're getting better art supplies, like such as like the little Crayola markers. They're getting paint markers. They're getting different brushes. Everything is just elevated. We're getting to a point where we need more storage, because now that we have these things, where do we put them? So we're getting all those things into their classrooms so they can organize everything, especially when we're thinking about those K5 classrooms where you have 780 kids coming in. Where do we store all that? When they finish it for one day, they have to come back the next week. We got to be able to store it. So we're getting that all straightened out, and it's really working well. You can look at this classroom here. This is actually at, this is Miss Roby's or Chavez's class at Sycamore. And last year we got these new furniture. So she has these desks now with stools, whereas before they were just long tables. And so the class looks empty, even though it's the same amount of kids that she had last year, where it was just wall to wall of kids, because the furniture just didn't fit. So now we have usable things, and every classroom just flows so much better. So we're very thankful for all the budgeting that we've been able to get. Within the performing arts, we've all been saying all the great things that are happening right now. It's really true. It's so obvious with the performing arts because they're active, right? They're performing, they're doing everything for the community. But we're just so thankful for everything that they're doing. So we have a lot more kids now who are participating in 5th grade band, orchestra, and choir after school. We've seen a large number increase on that. We've also started band and orchestra during school day at Cottonwood, which has just made that program boom. We went from like about 10 kids participating in each group there up to 35 and 40 kids in each of those classes right now. Because of that, Desert Sky 6th grade numbers went up because we started this last year. So next year we're going to start that at Sonita Valley. We just put it in order for some instruments to start 5th grade band and orchestra at Sonita Valley. We're hoping the same thing will happen at Rincon Vista. That's happening at Cottonwood and Desert Sky. General music, just like we were talking about with arts, is a lot more unified than it was too, right? So the same expectations that are happening at one school is happening at the other school. Just the communications happening between all our teachers is just really, really good. We've been so fortunate to have the district funding. So all of your financial support that you guys have been giving us has been wonderful. We also were given a grant from the Vail Family Foundation for middle school performing arts for $400,000 or $300,000 for the next 4 years. So we've been very fortunate with that. And because of that, we're able to provide so many more instruments to put in the kids' hands, which is perfect because we have so much more kids. We have so many more kids that are participating. We needed instruments. I got emails and phone calls from teachers at the beginning of the school year. It's like, I need this, I need this, I need this. And it's the first time where we were running out of instruments because we had too many kids, which is wonderful, right? It's the best problem we could ever have. And we're just thankful that we were able to go around the district and find. It's like, hey, can I borrow the saxophone until I can get one? Absolutely, here you go. You know, we're just able to get that all taken care of. Some achievements. Right now, between just 6th grade and 12th grade, we have 30% of the student population who are choosing to do a performing arts. So in 6th grade through 8th grade, they can choose to do band, orchestra, or choir, but then that means they get taken out of the normal rotation at most schools. There's a couple that get to do both. And then in high school, obviously it's an elective. So 30% of the kids are choosing to do it. Across the district, K through 12, 8,600 kids are benefiting from participating in the arts. Every single kid K through 5 is getting music and art every single week, at least once a week. Some schools are getting it twice because of the 4-day rotation or 3-day rotation. We couldn't be happier than that. You know, there's one school where we had one teacher that was doing both music and art, and that's no longer happening. Every single school has a full-time music teacher and a full-time art teacher, except for one school where it's part-time. But every single kid is still getting both every single week, and it's just incredible to see. As you've seen when you go around and see the performances, we have some very high achieving performing groups that do so well across the state and even nationally, with our theater programs, our orchestras, concert bands, things like that. And I just ran these numbers yesterday, but state seal, when I started this 3 years ago, we had 25 kids who achieved the state seal for arts, which is wonderful. This year we had 69. So it's a huge jump, and that affects the school grade, which is wonderful. We're very happy to be part of that. So with that, there's things that are going really, really well. And I'm just happy to be here to help the teachers make their life a little bit easier so they can be better teachers. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions? Ms. Tippett?
I just have a comment. I really appreciate the update, because I think I have been wondering, like, okay, what have we been able to accomplish? Because I knew a lot of activity was going on, but to have it all kind of presented back to back, it's pretty amazing the amount of opportunities that have grown and the support into classrooms. Very grateful for that, and looking forward to being able to continue to grow support in the arts in our community.
Thank you, Ms. Tippett. Any other comments or questions?
I will.
Ms. Anderson?
I just want to say thank you. I know I tell you this, but I love being in the district, and just, Jim, I hear all the time, you are so humble about what you're doing, but I am just so grateful for the work you're doing. Teachers tell me all the time just the support they feel from you and the difference it makes for them and how it makes them feel. I love this update just because I love being able to see like that growth. And I think I'm a little bit emotional when I hear like over half of our students are involved in the arts, right? Like that's literally what you just said. And I will scream it from the rooftops, but the fine arts are essential. And to me, they're not an elective. And so I see the difference it makes in kids' lives. And not just then, like I see with their mental health, I can go off on that in a lot of ways, but also these are professions, and I am watching kids go out into the world, and this is what they're doing. And so I am grateful for the work and for the continued support that hopefully we will be giving you. And also just thank you. Like, thank you so much for continuing to do it and just being there constantly for staff and for the kids, because the kids see you too. Like I hear kids going, we know who he is, because anytime I go to a performance of something, you are usually there in the back quietly. And yeah, you are usually at the back. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Bester, this.
I guess I'm looking at, in regards to the old adage, if you have a student that participates in the arts, that there was individuals that didn't believe that it helped in any of these other facets, but you play music, you perform the arts, you do these kind of things, and it has an equivalency to doing better in school, better outcomes in the short run as well as the long run. And so I'm on behalf of the board, I'm glad we hired you. We're going to take credit for this one because that long list of achievements. Thank you for what you do, and you do it so well. And honestly, we see the passion and commitment that you have toward students, to teachers, and again, to the art of doing what you do on a regular basis and do it so well. I saw the smile on your face as you were presenting this information. I see the pride in there, and I love that winning concept because it's infectious to everybody that you come within the span of your influence. That is phenomenal.
I appreciate it. May I say something regarding that, please?
Go ahead.
It's the teachers, right? So I'm very fortunate to be working with so many wonderful teachers at all these sites, and they are all passionate beyond belief of what they do every single day. Without them, the kids wouldn't be walking into their doors. And when they walk out, they wouldn't be as happy as they are. We do know that the arts affect how they do in their other classrooms. At Cienega and at Micah Mountain, out of the 12 years I taught, I think 10 years I had either the salutatorian or the valedictorian, if not both. Never had one kid not graduate in 12 years. We know that it's not just because we're teaching the good kids, it's that we teach them the discipline, the expectations on how to achieve long-term goals. There's so many wonderful life experiences that they learn in the arts that will help them as soon as they graduate, whatever they're doing. So we truly value what we do every single day, and we appreciate everything that you support us.
Thank you. Any other comments? Mr. King?
For a while, I thought you were cloned because everywhere, every time we went to a school site, you were there. It was either that or you were just following me. I wasn't sure whether to be like really impressed or really creeped out, but I'm going to go with really impressed because watching how this update, which, this is just amazing, and seeing how some of the other, music teachers, art teachers from other districts that I've seen actually kind of want to come here because they see what's going on. And that's something that's community wide, where other districts are struggling to find art teachers and music teachers. They're coming here and there's a reason behind that. And it's because what we're doing here on the board and what we're doing in the district actually is seen. And when you told the story about the kiln, it reminded me, I had that immediate flashback to elementary school. It's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do 3D art here, but we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna see it in a couple weeks because it's got to be sent out because there's no kiln here. So it had to, one of the schools that had to be sent off to the north part of the state to see a kiln for real. It's like, okay, and now knowing that we have one at every site, just makes that one so much faster, so much easier, so much more relevant, because sometimes when you're doing that, you forget that you've even done it. But, and then it comes into, and then the way you talked about how it ties to other things, fine art ties to other things. And that's absolutely true. And then coming from the classroom, and when you have these conversations with kids, they're like, huh? And they don't necessarily understand how the electromagnetic spectrum ties to math, and it ties to light, and it ties to science, it ties to sound and everything else. And they don't get that. But when you start showing that, and it's not just on the screen, but something that they can physically touch, that tactile experience makes it, stand out even more. And it does create those lifetime, memories. So, 30, 40, 50 years down the road, they're going to remember that tactile experience because of that. And they're also going to remember that teacher.
Yes.
And that teacher's going to live with them in their mind, in their heart forever. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. I just want to reiterate the thanks that have been expressed. I love just hearing the ways that you've unified programs across the district and be able to, instead of, work smarter, not harder, to be able to take good ideas and bring it to other sites, especially new teachers, to be able to support them and give them the resources that they need. Thank you so much for all your work. We really appreciate you. Thank you. Yes. Fun update. Let's do it next year. Thank you. Our next item is the health services team structure update. Also inform item, Ms. Stabney.
Thank you, President Pratt and members of the board. Mrs. Bates is here this evening to share with you some structural updates to our health services team. We've seen an increase in student health needs across the district, and Mrs. Bates has been working with our district nurse and with our health services team to come up with a plan to best address those needs and how we have our team structured. And so, Mrs. Bates.
Thank you, President Pratt, Mrs. Dabney, and members of the board. As Ms. Dabney just mentioned, we've been in the process this year of just kind of looking at what our health services team structure looked like. As we kind of picked that rock up, we kind of realized that there were some inequities across the team and that we really needed to write kind of the level of support that we were providing and the increase that we're seeing. So I'll go ahead and share with you just the background on that, and then happy to answer any questions you might have. So the structure that you see in the attached document that you have in front of you is intended to better meet the needs of the growing population with increased complex needs of our students. As our district continues to grow, we're seeing a corresponding rise in the number of students requiring health services, along with the increase in complexity of those needs. These demands require additional time, specialized training, and ongoing support from our health services team. Our nurses are supporting more students with chronic health conditions, emergency care needs, and individualized medical plans. Many of these situations require consistent communication with families, training for the school staff who support and love them every day, and regular follow-up to ensure the students can safely attend our schools. We are also experiencing a steady growth in the number of students receiving medical support through special education and through 504 plans. This includes participation in meetings, providing medical guidance, and supporting staff in implementing care plans throughout a child's school day. Staff training requirements have increased significantly as a result of these increases, and in many cases, multiple staff members must be trained to safely support a single student. That training must be maintained over time, particularly with ongoing staff turnover that we may experience. Given this growth and the increased complexity, it became really clear to our current staffing model needed to be reviewed and adjusted. As a part of this process, we also worked to streamline the roles across the department. This included aligning job titles, updating their job descriptions to reflect their current responsibilities, and creating greater consistency in work days and the compensation for the staff that are in the similar roles. This update is intended just to inform you of the review that we did to the adjustments to the health services team, and we really believe that this investment in the current team and the revised structure will better help us to meet the needs of our students and to accommodate for future growth.
Thank you, Mrs. Bates. Happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Are there any questions? No. No. Mr. Buster.
I just love what we had this conversation several times in the past, and we're always looking out for bigger, broader, better, more efficient, more effective ways of taking care of our people across the spectrum. This is included in that picture. So I'm glad you took the deep dive. I'm glad that you weren't satisfied with what was and had that vision for what could be and what we, as a growing district, especially as a growing district, we're taking care of our people, their health, their welfare, their happiness, their safety, their security across the spectrum. And we have to continuously take those deep dives, because if we're not, the vision is gone. And we have to be visionary on a consecutive basis to keep this district going in the right direction and growing. So thank you.
Mr. Buster. Any other comments or questions? I just want to say thank you. Looking at this chart is really incredible. I love the updated titles as well. And it really is incredible if you think about just a few short years ago, we only had one RN in the whole district. And so to see how we've grown to meet the needs of our family, students and families, thank you so much for your work on this and your attention to this need. So thank you. This time, we will move on to our last agenda item. This is the high school choice update, also an important item, Ms. Dabney.
Thank you, President Pratt, and members of the board. It's hard to believe that high school choice is wrapped up. In fact, we really kind of completed the process with all of the lotteries and whatnot during that first week in March. So it seems like it was a long time ago. But the high school choice process this year overall went really, really smoothly. As you know, there was a lot of work that went into high school choice this year. So several of the pieces to kind of lay that foundation. As you know, we had a committee that was formed back in September, made up of parents, of school administrators, site council members, to look at the issues that we had with high school choice, specifically our transportation zone model. We know that at Micah Mountain specifically, the transportation zone was too large and it was filling the school beyond capacity, where it really limited choice for families that lived in the flex zone. That was a Rita Ranch area. And so brought the committee together to really kind of determine how we should best move forward, being able to provide choice for our families, but also make that choice something that's actually attainable. And so through that work, attendance boundaries were recommended that the board approved, that we have attendance boundaries for our two large comprehensive high schools, Cienega and Micah Mountain, and that our other high schools remain schools of choice. And through the high school choice process, parents could choose their top 3 options, regardless of their attendance boundary, but knowing that transportation wouldn't be provided and that there would be a high likelihood of a lottery for those other choices outside of the attendance boundary piece. So as we went through high school choice, just some really positive numbers. The end result was that we had 92% of our families receiving their first choice option. The year previous, we had 89%. So we had a 3% increase. We had 6% of our families receive their second choice option, and we had 2% of our families receive their third choice option. Understandably, that 8% of families that did not receive their first choice option, there's the feeling of disappointment. And since high school choice is closed, we've been able to work with several of those families because there's always movement. Families move out. Sometimes a choice option may change, and we have availability to be able to make some changes. So with some of those families that have received their second and third choices, we've already been able to address that. So that 92%, I would say, is a little bit higher at this point. One of the numbers that just really stood out to me is overall, we have 1,340 seats available for freshmen in high school. We placed 1,256 freshmen. So you have really a margin of 84 seats, and having a margin that thin and still being able to give the vast majority of our families their first choice option is pretty incredible. We know that when that first choice option doesn't work out, we know that there's a lot of disappointment that's associated with that. We work through those the best we can. We did have 2 lotteries this year. We had a lottery at Empire High School, and we had a lottery at Micah Mountain High School. We were able to, I believe, and the numbers may not be perfect, but I want to say we had about 156 students in the Micah Mountain lottery, and we were able to place 73 students through that lottery process, which in years previous, we weren't even able to offer a lottery. So it really was a choice option for parents again. With Empire, we had also about 23 students that weren't placed in Empire through the lottery system. There was just more interest in Empire than space available. So we've worked with those families. We've some have already been able to make that work. And we'll continue to do that as time progresses because there always is change between now and the beginning of the school year. The other piece that we implemented this year was a cap on staff children, a 10% cap of the freshman class. So if the school had a freshman class capacity of 300 students, then we would cap that staff children enrollment at 30. And we did that based on years of service. So we would rank order the priority based on years of service. And what we found is that at Micah, we were below that cap, and so that worked out fine. At Empire, we were above that cap by 7, and so those 7 students were also placed into the lottery, and the general lottery went through that process. So that also seemed to help with just some of the capacity issues. So overall, that 92% first choice option, the amount of students that were placed has gone very smoothly. The other thing that we're finding is the impact of the change for new families as they move into the district after high school choice has concluded. There's just more clarity. So when families move in now, they know what high school boundary that their address is associated with. They also know that if we have space at our other high schools, those remain options. It's just clearer. And so we've seen a benefit from that angle too. The other kind of update was the rebuilt portal, our high school choice portal, and just the success we had with that, being able to have very clear information in the portal, really able to pull really great reports from that portal. It just worked a lot better. So good stuff with high school choice. We'll continue to work through, some of those different situations, and as families move in, the clarity of the attendance boundaries has really been a positive. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Dabney. Are there any questions, comments? Ms. Tippett.
Thank you for summing up kind of all of the comprehensive changes that happened from the last couple of years to this year. And I think the desired result is what we saw. And so the changes that we put in to effect actually provided opportunities for choice and that feel very meaningful. And staff has skin in the game as well as all of our community members. And I am encouraged about the process. And I hope that families felt encouraged about the process as well. And that those who are looking for, one of their other choices to come available will continue to work through that process. And as those opportunities come available, have that opportunity come forward. So I appreciate the effort. We could do enrollment the super easy way that a lot of other school districts do, and we don't. We do it a little bit harder way, but it facilitates a lot more opportunity for kids to pursue their interests and opportunities. And so I think it's special, and we'll continue to refine it over the years as our district demographic changes. This will not be the last time it changes. I am certain of that.
Thank you, Ms. Tippett. Very, very true. And I agree with you. I think there was a lot of hard decisions made earlier this year, and I think it's, to me, feeling or just hearing you say that about 50% of people that were in the lottery for Micah were able to get a spot. I just love that, just because last year there was no chance that you were getting unless you had other means to qualify. So it does feel like this truly is a choice for families. So thank you for all the work that went into that. There's no other comments or questions, then we will go to the very, very last item on our agenda, which is adjournment. I'll accept a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:20. Motion. Ms. Anderson. Mr. King. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Right?
Any opposed? Not seeing any. The motion carries. Thank you. Have a good night.